then come on across to me.
Tonight on The Experience, we're going to tell you how you can get involved in community radio right here in Worcester. It's the membership drive for WCUW 91.3. Also, the Walk to Cure Cancer is coming up this weekend. We'll meet some people who are participating in that. And right now, time to congratulate John Mahoney, Democratic candidate from the 13th Worcester District. John, congratulations.
Thanks, Hank.
Last time we had John, of course, you were one of a field of 6, and everybody was talking. This is one of the few races where I think, honestly, going into it the last couple of days, when I talked to people and said, all right, who's going to win? I said, you know what? I don't know. Who's going to get their vote out? How did you feel those last couple of days?
Anxious, nervous, nauseous, all the things, excited. By the time you get to that point of the campaign, everyone's exhausted, and we were working, countless hours, and it just there's not enough time in the day, Do
you think, John, that there was an issue that people identified with and grabbed a hold of with you, or was it that you had run before, that you had knocked on, more doors, you got more people to it? What was it?
I think the issue that resonated with the people I spoke with was education. My wife Erin and I, we live it every day. Our 4 children are in the Worcester Public Schools. And a lot of the people you talk to on the doorstep, in some way, shape, or form are involved with education. Either their children are in it, or their children are graduates of the public schools, or their grandchildren are in there. So it's something that everybody's interested in. So
now you have 2 opponents. You have an independent opponent in Ron Madnick, who ran before as a Democrat. Although not this time around. And you also have Paul Franco, who is the Republican. Now, it's interesting to me that there's this whole national debate and this conversation about the Tea Party. Now, Paul Franco is the Republican nominee, but he also is very closely identified with the Tea Party in the area. I mean, does that come into play at this state representative, level?
Sure, but what it's going to come down to is people will compare and contrast the different candidates, and we'll talk about what I've talked about, all spring and summer long, and they'll have their argument or whatever issues they think are the most important. But we'll stay true to what the Democrats are about, and in the district, like I said, it's nuts and bolts stuff on the state rep level. I think who's going to best represent your kids or your grandchildren in the schools.
Well, see, that is interesting. As you
safety.
said, when you went knocking on the doors and education kept coming up, and your own kids being in school, so that's something that's very close to your heart. Because when we do talk to people, or when we do listen to the news, it seems as if most people just say, hey, it's all about the economy. The economy is number one, and I guess that does tie into education as well.
No, I mean, the area, we're kind of fortunate. A lot of people are working. A lot of people in the district, that's, obviously the economy, everyone's concerned about it. But I just think a lot of it has to do, in that level, is quality of life issues, public safety. Healthcare would come up now and then, because that's always, something people are constantly worried about, the increase in fees and costs. But it's, another part of it is accessibility. So a lot of people are looking for a rep where when they have a problem with the government or questions, someone they can call. So basically a lot of the job, I think, is almost an ombudsman for the citizens to reach out to and help them with their, whether it's a senior issue or, dealing with schools and anything, that with, red tape of government, would call a rep.
During the debates, the question of Bob Spillane, who has decided not to run, came up. You ran against Bob on a sticker campaign a couple of years ago. His private life really got tangled up in his public life, particularly on the front pages of the Telegram and Gazette. A couple of years ago, if I recall, that's part of what prompted you to run. Now that you're the nominee, and if you win, is there a repair job, if you will, that has to go on in the district? Did people kind of get turned off to politics a little bit because of some of those articles in the paper?
I just think that now the rep will be finishing out his term, and he'll return to private life. So I believe that kind of takes care of itself. He'll go his way, and we wish him the best. And now it's about like I said, comparing what I bring to the table against the Republican and the independent candidates. So I think that people just they naturally move on, and we're excited to see what how this campaign unfolds.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting now because, of course, you were focused on 5 other candidates and the dynamics of that big race. Have you really had a chance to kind of decide and listen to what Paul Franco, for example, has had to say, And where do you differ from Paul, and if you could tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we haven't had, that much interaction. I've seen him out a couple of times, but, that's why we're going to have some debates in the fall. So that's, this fall, that's what we're excited about. So, we're going to show up to the debate, and we're going to tell everybody what's the most important things to us.
Right.
And they'll have a chance to tell people what they're interested in. And it's going to be a vigorous fall. The campaigning, it's already begun. We've been busy right off the bat, so we haven't lost a step.
Yeah, do you feel there's a lot of interest? I was a little surprised. I expected a larger turnout in the primary.
Right. Well, I guess that was kind of went to the Secretary of State's projections. That's what it came a little bit higher, around 28%. But we think in the general it'll be about 50. We'd love to always have 100% voter turnout. I mean, and people have that right, and it's unfortunate that they choose not to exercise it. But
all right, we've got a few minutes left here.
Sure.
Fix the economy for us. So what happens? Boy,
sure.
We are in a heck of a hole here in Massachusetts. John Mahoney gets elected. How does he help?
Well, one thing I've talked about to people once again at their doorstep is in this area, we're very fortunate. When the smokestack industries moved elsewhere or closed up or became irrelevant, we had the foresight 40 years ago. UMass Medical, the people who were in leadership roles in the city then got that project here. Okay. Now 25 years ago, we had Biotech Park. And look what that's done for us. There wasn't a day I wasn't out that I didn't meet someone who worked at UMass, and not to mention all the other, places of higher learning in the area. And thank goodness for them, because this would be a dramatically different area without them. But, now we have Gateway Park, WPI working in collaboration with them. I believe that's the next step. Green energy is here. We're going to work on it vigilantly. I mean, I think that's really a big piece of the puzzle. So we've had a lot of great things in line as years go by, and now we're ready for the next.
We are. It seems the city of Worcester is on this incredible roll right now, whether it's the City Square groundbreaking, CSX, what's happening up at the airport being turned over to Massport.
That's going to be that's going to be great too. That's another positive addition. And
right
North Main Street, we're going to have a lot of changes there. I think today they're going to the old courthouse. They're going to have plans for that, and someone's going to it's going out to bid. So
yeah, exactly. We'll have some housing down in that area. Yeah. Worcester always seemed to be at the tipping point. Are we finally past that? All the things that we just talked about.
I think we are. And what's kind of funny is when I was out speaking with folks, the people who are from other places are the biggest proponents of the city. The locals have been here forever. We all love it. We're familiar with it. But I'd meet people who are transferred here for obviously they might have worked at Holy Cross or Assumption, whatever college it might be, or job they took. And they're the biggest fans we have. So it's kind of neat to see that perspective.
Just a minute left here, John. Sure. You represent a big part of Worcester if elected. You also represent Paxton.
Right.
What's the dynamic? I mean, what's the difference between speaking to somebody in Paxton and speaking to somebody in Worcester?
Well, out there, it just seems that they're kind of happy the way it is, and they're concerned about their biggest concerns. Education. They have a different school setup system. They're part of the regional out there, Wachusett, and same quality of life things. Public safety. It's really I don't find much difference. From over the border from the people in Tatnick to the people in Paxton.
Yeah.
They have the same concerns. So.
John, we look forward to having one of those debates right here on the Hank Stolz Experience. But congratulations again.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in this evening. Coming up, we're going to talk about community radio right here in Worcester, how you can get involved, and also the Walk to Cure Cancer is on the way, and we'll talk about that right here on the Hank Stolz Experience.
What it is ain't exactly clear.
For expert auto